Hello, everybody. I don't know who's here. This is a first time, this is a test. So we've had our Instagram channel for quite some time now, and it's recently started to gain some traction. So I decided, what the heck, we have a podcast where we go live every week over on YouTube, but this is the first time that I'm trying to take advantage of going live on Instagram. So here I am. This is basically just a test. Thank you guys all for being here. This is the first time for me doing this. There's some thoughts that are running through my head right now about the Epstein list and everything that's happening right now globally. And basically, I've come to the conclusion, and a lot of people have, that we are in the middle of a mass global satanic ritual right now. And I think, hey, how's it going? I'm just going to say hi to some people in the chat. Yeah, there's already some controversial comments, as expected. Right now, I realize as an influencer, we've been doing this since 2019. There's no way to win. Every influencer, every content creator right now is getting reamed a new asshole because they're sharing their opinions and their research, and it's triggering everybody. But right now, everyone's angry. I think the entire world is just, they just did a massive document dump on everybody with all of these horrific acts and these crimes against humanity that are being exposed in the Epstein files. Everything that was once a conspiracy theory is now true and worse, some of the darkest stuff. And I think there's a lot of anger going around right now. Lots of anger. People are angry at the world, angry at themselves. This is a spiritual war, and if you're not on any sort of a spiritual journey, doing the shadow work, doing any sort of healing, you are absolutely going to be projecting that anger onto other people, and that's what we see happening right now. Because we were never taught how to handle our emotions. We were never taught how to deal with this stuff. It is something that we are just we've been thrown into the fire, and we have to figure out this life as we go. They intentionally leave this stuff out of the curriculum in school, so they can control us. And it's sad to see what's happening. There's so much division. At the same time, I see we're at the early stages of liberation on this planet. All this stuff had to happen. People are mad that it came out under Trump, and they want to punish Trump for that. But, the administration before that was sitting on the files the entire time, and nobody seemed to care. Everyone is involved. I have a friend who he helps rescue trafficked children, and he's been doing it for quite some time. He's a private contractor, and he actually works for the Trump administration. And I asked him months ago, I said, why don't they release the files? And he said he's actually sat in on some of those think tanks, and it's been a hard decision for them because everyone is involved. He said and he told me a long time ago that Trump is the one who helped get Epstein arrested. And now the files have come out and proved that. But he told me that everyone involved. It's like, he said, imagine being in a room of people and some of them you thought were your friends, but they're all on this list. And he said it would undermine the entire country and make the United States a sitting duck if it all came out at once. And we would lose any stronghold that we had anywhere in the world. So it's a art of war strategy, I guess, to release it the way it's being released, but that doesn't mean I agree with it. I'm just telling you what he told me. But we have to look at the timing of all this, okay? So the files were released on January 30th. We had 3.5 million Epstein files released, which is like the shock, the world. Everyone was shocked. We weren't expecting to get it, and here it is, and now it's even worse than we thought. And it includes things that we couldn't imagine, like time travel and human cloning and all this stuff. A lot of us have been covering this and talking about it for years, but now it's all out there. And some of the darkest stuff that I don't even want to repeat because I don't feel like it's necessary to re-traumatize anyone again. It's surfing the web right now is kind of like surfing the dark web, at least how I would imagine it. Some of the most horrific videos and things and hatred that I've seen in a long time. And I think that's by design. So they release the files on January 30th. February 1st is a full moon, and the Grammys just happened to be on February 1st, a full moon, which was a satanic ritual. As we know, the Grammys always are, or always is, and Nicki Minaj, of all people, was going off during the Grammys on X, kind of blowing the whistle on how they eat babies and they sacrifice babies, and it's this whole satanic ritual. The Grammys is this and that, and basically saying it's no accident that they held it on a full moon. It's a ritual night for them. So this happens only a few days after the files are released. Next thing you know, we're in this mass satanic ritual. But it doesn't stop there. February 1st was the Grammys. February 6th, the Olympic ceremony, the opening ceremony for the Winter Olympics, turns out to be another gigantic satanic ritual, overtly using all the symbolism. It looked like something from Eyes Wide Shut. It was very disturbing and dark, and if you pay attention at all, you've seen that in those images and those videos going around. So that's 2 rituals within a few days, right after the release of the files. Then we have February 8th, the Super Bowl, another satanic ritual, which it always is. In fact, I was getting my hair cut earlier, and I asked the people there if they watched the Super Bowl, and the woman said, absolutely not. I refuse to participate in that demonic ritual. And it kind of took me off guard, because this is the understanding that people are coming to right now, that they're not even tuning into these football games because they know, like, there's an underlying agenda, an ulterior motive. Like, you're not just watching a game anymore. It's all rigged anyway. And I watched it, and it was just like, we weren't watching elite athletes in any way, shape, or form. It was 2 teams playing out of script, and everything was very rigid and no energy, lifeless. And the halftime show was a ritual. And if maybe you liked the music and you were dancing to it, but once you realize what the lyrics actually said, that's not okay. And I think Bad Bunny, or whatever his name is, he's getting served with a $10 million fine for those lyrics during the football game. So anyway, there's a lot more down that rabbit hole if you look into that. But that's 3 rituals within days of the release of the Epstein files. So while there has been 3 overt satanic rituals performed on the world stage, everybody on social media is literally being traumatized by the information in these files. What does that do to us as a collective? It's hard. It's a hard thing for humanity to deal with, but it's been a long time coming. We've all been screaming for disclosure, and we're getting it, and now everybody's mad and they're trying to point fingers and blame everybody, but this is just the way it was always going to play out, and there's no way to do it to make everyone happy. That's just simply the way it goes. So right after the Super Bowl on February 9th, they rubbed some more salt into the wound and released the Department of Justice releases some more unredacted names and documents regarding the Epstein files. Now, like I said, you get on the internet and it's actually not good for your mental health. It's good to be aware and have awareness of what's going on right now, but it's also, you have to be careful not to feed into it too much, because it could be detrimental to your health. And they know that. So this is like, everybody right now, what I think they want to do is basically they want us all to trauma bond and unite against the common enemy, right? And then they can control us that way. But we have to rise above it. Like, the more you react, the more you fight it, the more you're feeding it. So you got to rise above that, and like, everything you do has to be done from the heart. And I know that's so easy to say, but you have to find that still point and just and have a baseline reaction. Like, you don't want to have a knee-jerk reaction and an emotional trigger response to this stuff, because you're taking the bait when that happens. And I know a lot of people are mad and they want to see arrest and all this stuff, and I think that's coming. This was the first step. I mean, there's no way to please everybody. So the people are out there complaining or demanding something, what was the alternative? We get another administration and not Trump. We probably never see these documents. You might think you're happy, but really you're just a happy slave. You're not, you're still being lied to, and everything might seem good on the surface. But to me, as dark as it is, this is the higher timeline. This is the way to the golden age, the positive future. All of this stuff has to come out. People need to know where they're living. I mean, if you can cut people off from their true origins and understanding the planet they even live on, there's no way they're going to be able to ascend out of that, because they've never been given the correct information to begin with. So they might have a completely wrong or inverted belief system about themselves and where they're living, what planet this is, what's going on here. So it's an easy way to control us. But once you can rise above that and get to the truth of the matter, then I think that's whenever we can start to see a difference and make a difference, make a change, because we're changing. Therefore, the world is changing, because as within, so without. But there's a division right now on a whole new level. And like I said, everyone is looking for someone to take their anger out on. They're looking for somewhere to put their anger. And it just happens to be on all of us content creators who are covering this stuff and sharing things that people don't want to hear, whether they agree with it or not. Some of the most hateful comments I've ever seen in my entire life. The snakes are coming out of the woodwork right now, but they're all being exposed as well. People are showing their true colors, and the snake in the grass can stay hidden no longer. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing. So whenever somebody's about to be exposed or is being exposed, they resort to character assassination, because that's all they have, because they've already been beaten by the truth. So they can't win an argument with the truth, so they're going to character assassinate and do whatever it takes to make the person who is calling them out look like the enemy. And I think we see that in our personal lives all the way up to the world stage, where we have, I won't even say the names, but it's such a triggering thing to even say Trump. It's hilarious that we have to almost censor ourselves. But right now I feel like, the Epstein files showed that Trump was an FBI informant that helped get Epstein arrested. And he is exposing them with the truth. They can't beat him with the truth, so they have to character assassinate. And I could be wrong about Trump. I might be wrong. But until I see otherwise, so far all the images and videos I've seen going around allegedly of Trump, I ran through reverse image search and AI detectors, and every one of them's been fabricated. I haven't found a real one yet that is damning to him. So there's definitely an attempt by three-letter agencies to frame him, which has been the case the entire time. And if any of this stuff was true about Trump, they would have buried him to begin with. They would have used this information to put him in jail in 2016, the first time around. But it's not true, so they had to fake the Russian hoax and try the assassination attempt and all that stuff. But really, what's interesting too is anyone who's been following Q, this is another triggering one, Q, turns out they've been right the whole time about everything. And the Epstein files are proving that. They wanted to make fun of us for saying that the world was ran by an elite satanic pedophile ring who was eating babies and worse. Now that's all true. They can't say that's not true anymore. And these Q proofs keep happening. Like in 2012, this is really interesting. So in 2012, Epstein sends an email to Ghislaine Maxwell in September of 2012 and misspells children as Chidlren. A month later in 2012, Trump posts about the missing children with the same exact misspelling. Now, you think that's a coincidence? I don't know. We have a Q drop that says misspellings matter. It's not a coincidence that Trump misspelled children the same exact way Ghislaine Maxwell or Epstein misspelled children. He was telling the people, it's like a con, telling the world that he knows, and telling anybody on the inside that he knows. And he's been an informant for a long time. And the whole Q operation is a very interesting rabbit hole. There's a lot there. A lot of it's been blown out of proportion and misunderstood, but if you just go and read the original drops objectively, without bias, you'll come to the conclusion that there's absolutely something there. But that just also brings me to my next point too, is that, you know, demons can't face the light one-on-one. They can never face somebody who is standing in integrity, operating from the heart and backed by God. They can't face somebody like that one-on-one. So what do? They build an army and character assassinate. And they have to campaign. And that the devil campaigns. That's how they take down the good people. So when you see a massive campaign against one person, it's likely that one person is a major threat to the system, to individuals involved, whatever it is. It's important enough to them, like I said earlier, they have already been beaten by the truth. So they have to campaign and character assassinate. And that's the only move that they have left because they're desperate right now. And everyone's showing their true colors, and we're seeing everyone for who they are. And yeah, I'm willing to be wrong about a lot of this stuff, but I'm just, whatever. This is a test live. I just want to come on here and even see how this goes. Thank you for the 15 people that are here. I appreciate that. And this is something I shared on social media the other day that I'm going to just read so I don't have to memorize it. But right now, I kind of broke down their plan. We're in the middle of this satanic ritual, this mass ritual. We had the release of the Epstein files. Then we had the Grammys, which was a satanic ritual. Then we had a Winter Olympic opening ceremony, which is a satanic ritual. And then the Super Bowl. 3 satanic rituals within a week span, right as the Epstein files are just being dumped all over the internet. And everyone's being collectively traumatized by that. And they want us to all trauma bond and unite against a common enemy, and then they're going to control us that way, right? So we have to, they've released their plan. They've showed us their plan, and now we know. Now we know their playbook. So once you're aware of the trick, it loses power over you. Once you're aware of the illusion, it loses power over you. It loses control over you. So now we have the opportunity to actually do something about it. And I think that opportunity is to not react and get angry and blame everybody else for your problems and blame everybody for what you're mad about seeing online about these horrible crimes against humanity. And we have to start taking accountability, looking in the mirror, and we have to start asking ourselves hard questions about what we want to do. Like, we're being served with an opportunity right now to actually do something important in our lives, to find purpose in life, to actually rise above all of this darkness and actually make a difference in this world. And it starts with the individual. So, and I'm going to read what I put on social media. This is just a reminder. This is only their plan, but plans don't always work. It may be working to an extent, but the dark shoots themselves in the foot every step of the way. While the devil thrives on confusion, which is what we're seeing right now, I mean, they dump all of these files that are completely uncategorized, very confusing. That's the tactic. That's a strategy of the devil. While the devil thrives on confusion, his arrogance is his blind spot. Once you're aware of the trick, it loses power over you. This tired strategy will only ultimately serve as a catalyst for the inevitable Great Awakening. Against all odds, the truth will boil to the surface. They can't keep the lid on this much longer, and they certainly can't hide anymore. The light always outshines the darkness. Don't lose hope. Rebellions are built on hope. I stole that one from Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One. Rebellions are built on hope. And Star Wars is a good documentary that kind of outlines this spiritual war, this galactic war that we've been in for quite some time. So, how does this tie into astrology? This is what's really interesting to me. So I don't know much about astrology, but I do see stuff shared online all the time. And every once in a while, I'm kind of guided to lean into it and look into it a little more. So right now, Saturn just entered Aries. Okay, what does that mean? It's a transit that reveals our relationship with change itself, where we grasp for control, how we walk ourselves through uncertainty, and what our relationship is to trust. Tune into what feels aligned for you versus what you continue simply as habit. So it reveals our relationship with change itself. Saturn just entered Aries. This is a big window right now for the truth. It's like a breach in the firewall is what how I put it actually on the interview we just did. Because it's this window right now where it allows for everything to surface. So where did we just come from before that? Before Saturn entered Aries, beginning in May 2025 and finalized in early 2026, it was in Pisces, a period defined by themes of surrendering control, emotional healing, and dealing with ambiguity. This era focused on dissolving old structures, fostering spiritual growth, and navigating uncertainty before the shift to action-oriented Aries. So Saturn in Pisces is the period just prior, focused on surrendering control, dealing with endings, and managing boundaries according to the Yoga Journal and Today.com. Global themes. This was a time of internal, often emotional restructuring rather than the outward, fast-paced action that defines Aries. So the window right here, right before Saturn went into transit with Aries, was a time for emotional restructuring rather than the outward fast-paced action that defines Aries. So I think we're moving into like a quantum leap. We're going to see technological advancements, truth being exposed. It's just all off the charts right now. Yeah, so here's the previous cycle. The last time Saturn was in Aries, it followed the late 90s dot-com boom, acting as a period of bringing those rapid technological advancements into a more structured, practical framework. The shift from Pisces to Aries signifies a transition from dissolving old forms to building new, independent, and self-defined structures. So I think what's happening right now with the stars is no coincidence, and they absolutely use astrology to perform their rituals. That's no theory. I mean, nothing's a theory anymore. It's all turning out to be true. But it seems to me that this window right now that we're in is literally revealing our relationship with change, like it says, where we grasp for control. We have to kind of let go of the need to control things, and we have to learn how to flow with this stuff and not react. And they want us to react. It's okay to be upset, but don't hold on to that and don't project that anger onto other people. This is ultimately up to us, and it's really testing where we are as a human, as a human race, as a civilization, individually too. Are we ready to take accountability and responsibility, or are we just going to keep pointing the finger and blaming everyone else for our problems? And I think that, it's easier said than done, but we can easily rise above this. Just don't let all of this stuff distract you when you get online. Like I said earlier, it can be detrimental to your mental state of health. If you just scroll the internet right now for even 10 minutes, you might see some of the most horrific things you've ever seen. And we don't need to be focusing on that because we're feeding the ritual right now. You're feeding the ritual when you do that. It's okay to look and understand, but how much do you really need to know? Once you get the big picture, you know that something needs to be done. And by feeding and complaining and being angry, that's only feeding into, that's taking the bait, that's feeding into exactly what they want you to do. So trying to rise above that, I think, is the ultimate goal here. And how can we find a still point, a new baseline in life to where we don't get triggered, so easily triggered, and just emotionally react without even thinking about what we're doing. Self-awareness, just awareness in general, is key right now. But self-awareness, hyper self-awareness is key. You have to pay attention to everything that's going on around you, be as present as possible. Understand that your thoughts might not even be your own. I mean, this is spiritual warfare, frequency warfare. There's lots of information in the files and otherwise about directed energy weapons, voice of God technology. They beam voices into your head. That's how many of the mass school shootings were done through voice of God technology. And if you go back and read all of the news reports, a number of those people said that God told them to do it. So somebody was putting those voices in their head, and it wasn't God. It was the voice of God technology, which is somebody, some loser in the 3-letter agency in some basement somewhere, beaming voices into an unfortunate victim's head. So, and telling them to go shoot people. And obviously it's coupled with being heavily medicated on prescription drugs and all that. So, I mean, it's all coming out. It's all surfacing. So, anyway, thank you guys for being here. I just wanted to hop on and kind of see how this goes. Looks like there's about 15 people here. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer some. Let me look at some of these comments. If I can't convince those closest to me, what's the point? End of people, happy, blind, and divided. Well, it's not up to us to convince anybody. Like, it's up to us to share. If we feel passionate enough about sharing the truth, it's up to us to share the truth. And it's up to us to also admit when we're wrong and have the humility to self-correct whenever we might share something that's false instead of attacking somebody. But it's not up to us to wake other people up. It's not up to us to convince other people. The information has been there for decades, especially in the last 5 years. It's everywhere. If they really cared to know, they would have looked and they would have found it. They've had the option. They've had the perfect opportunity to go down these rabbit holes. Most people are much happier living an ignorance is bliss lifestyle. They want to check out and ignore this, turn their head to all of it and act like everything is fine. But then, like I said, you're just a happy slave at that point. You're not, what are you doing with your life besides complying, right? And I understand people have jobs and families and stuff, but at some point, we're at a point now where this is beyond just a theory. It's turned out to be real. It's turned out to be global. Everyone's involved. What do we do? Like, we have to, how do we respond to this? I don't have the answers, but I know it's not through hatred. I know it's not through anger, and I know it's not through blaming everyone else. We might want arrest, but I think this is also a practice in patience. The light wins no matter what. I think they're desperately trying to do all this stuff, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work. They might think that releasing all this information, they might think that they can somehow control that narrative and still control us through that trauma and fear, but they shoot themselves in the foot. What it's really doing is causing a catalyst for a massive great awakening beyond what we're already experiencing. So many people are going to wake up from this. No one's going to pay taxes anymore. No one's going to comply. They're not going to follow the rules, because they know who our leaders are. They know who these people are and what they've been doing, where their tax money's been going. Why would anybody listen to these people? Like, I'm not an advocate for going on the street and rioting, because I think that's just a honeypot louche farm situation. Anytime that you go to these riots, I think people are usually baited in under false pretenses. I mean, I don't think that these riots are organic, and I don't think that they're very beneficial. In fact, I think that's what they want us doing, because I don't know. I guess if enough people did it for the right reasons, but we just can't lose hope right now. Let me see. Any other? People are deleting social media to hide from the truth. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, it's traumatizing, but that's just it. They've been hiding from it anyway. And now that it's right in their face, they're definitely trying to hide from it, but they're only hurting themselves in the long run. That's not anything, that's something that they have to deal with and they have to sit with, and it's not our job to throw that truth in their face. It's hard to believe, especially to people who are really naive and really in the dark about all this stuff and had no idea. It sounds too evil to be true. But it's actually worse than that. I mean, it's worse than we imagined in many cases. Absolutely, that's what I mean, but that's why it's so infuriating. Been saying it to people for years, and even though now they see so much of what I've learned and share come out, they're still not listening. Yeah, I mean, it is frustrating. It is frustrating to watch these people walking around in like this cardboard cutout version of themselves on autopilot, just in zombie mode, kind of just being this NPC character. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. But at this point, I also I don't know if I'm just telling myself this or if this is the truth, but I'm convinced that some people aren't meant to wake up, and that those people that don't wake up are creating some kind of a balance of normalcy for our children and these younger generations that need something steady and solid. So by people being unaware and they're able to just focus on their family and be in the heart and love their family and do that and not fight this fight that we're all fighting right now, I think that creates a balance. I think we need that. The truth needs to be obviously exposed and surfaced, but I think there's a place for everything. I actually wish I never did go down the rabbit hole. I just paid taxes. I mean, yeah, it's taxes are an interesting thing. I strongly believe that we're going to get to a point where we're not paying income tax at all anymore. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's theft. We've known that. It hurts my soul to fill out those forms. But if you want to do simple things in life, like get a loan to buy a house or a car, you have to have your taxes filed and paid. So there's ways around it. And in fact, I was having a conversation with someone today. There are new ways to get loans through other people who are wealthy. It's like not through the bank, but there are people out there that have these businesses that are loaning money that don't have all the requirements that the traditional banking system would have. But you kind of have to know people. You have to know people that know people. It's not like you can just go online and find somebody like that. But there's other ways. And I think life finds a way. The famous quote from Jurassic Park, like, we will find a way around paying taxes and this stuff. It's absolutely criminal. There was a program called Tomorrow World that showcased new technology in the UK in the 1990s. They showed Voice of God tech in early form. Yeah, that was off. The Voice of God technology it's not even a theory. It used to be on the Army's website, then it was removed. But when it was still on the Army's website, it broke it down in great detail, all the research. The inventor in like 1942, Joseph C. Sharp, which I find is interesting. I don't know if that's his real name, but it's C. Sharp, like a music note. Allegedly, he's the one who, I don't know if he invented it or if he perfected it, but either way, his name is on that website as one of the founders. And they broke down what this technology can do and how it can affect people. It doesn't just put voices in your head. They can they can control somebody's mind with it. They can get you to stand up out of your chair and go and open a door and then go and sit back down. And you think it's your idea. But they can do that. They can put these thoughts in your head. They can give you a rash. They can make you sick. They can give you a heart attack. They can basically do whatever they want to you, and it's absolutely scary. Any other questions or comments? This is my first time doing this, so I don't know. No questions yet. Yeah, so thank you guys. Entertainment industry is satanic, end of especially music nowadays. Yeah, we did an entire webinar. So for those who don't know, the Instagram channel that you're on right now, Journey to Truth Podcast, we've been hosting a podcast. My co-host and I, Aaron, have been doing a podcast since 2019, primarily on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. And This is just the first time I'm trying to go live here on Instagram. So, yeah, anyway, if you're interested in learning more about anything that we do, you can go to our website, journeytotruth.online. And we have webinars where we break down the entire Q operation, Tartaria. We've done one on Illuminati in the music industry. We've done one on the voice of God technology. The inner earth, DUMBs, underground bases. We have one coming up on the secret space program, which is a follow-up to our documentary that we just released. If anyone is interested, sorry, I'm just reading this comment. Please do a video with what you just said so it can be shared. It's so true. I'm not even sure what I just said. I was kind of rambling, but I might do a separate video and record it and turn it into a reel, just so I can so it can be shared. Anything else? Thank you guys for all the work you've done. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Tyler is man. I try. It's not always easy. I got into this field of exposing the truth because I was very excited about being a part of this movement. And it turns out it's not what everybody thinks. It's a dark place. It's a battlefield. Not everybody is who you think they are. And we find out the hard way most of the time. And we all learn, we all make mistakes, we all do stupid things, and we all have to, take accountability for that. And not everybody does, and it creates a lot of division. And like I said earlier, people want to be mad about things that are happening in the world, and they want to take it out on these content creators like us because, I don't know, for some reason it feels like they think we owe them something. And it's amazing the people in the comments that boss us around like they're paying us, It's almost like since we're doing this and we put our neck on the line and we have a platform that they think that they have free access to us, and that's just not true, and it's really hard to navigate these times right now because of that. And you want to help everybody, but sometimes people aren't looking for help. They're looking for someone to hold their hand, and it's hold their hand while they still refuse to change, and we can't be there for everybody. I'm not saying we don't want to help, but it's just a tough time right now. So it's important. I always say this, you need to go outside and look around, talk to your neighbors, because the world you see when you walk out your front door is completely different than the world you see when you get online. They're two completely different places. It's hard to find beauty online. But when you walk out your front door, you can find beauty in life. You can find the joy in life. You can talk to real people, have conversations, connect with wildlife, connect with animals. You can actually find that it's very easy to have a pleasant day whenever you don't get on the internet. Not saying that you should ignore that, but we have to find a balance. We constantly doom scrolling every day, frantically trying to share this information. It takes, wisdom. Wisdom comes through experience. It can't be taught. So I understand we all have our own way of processing this, and we're all at our own level and different place in this game. But at the end of the day, I think this is a test of patience and how we respond or don't respond or react. And it's really up to us to, like I said, find that baseline where we are not just emotionally throwing our emotions around like a fire hose, because it's not good. It's not healthy. I worked so much. I was off today and saw you live. Thanks for all you do. And Aaron, I always try to catch a podcast when I have time. For every hour online, spend 1 hour in nature. Yeah, that's ideal. That's absolutely ideal. Or spend more time in nature if you can. And it's not easy. We all have jobs. We all have things to do. But if you can get outside, even put your feet in the grass or whatever it is, that helps. Goes a long way. So I think I'm getting ready to wrap this up. Let me see. So true. A walk every day, anywhere, but especially in the woods or some somewhere away from everything, if you can, is the best thing you can do for yourself. You'll understand when you make it a daily thing. Yeah, I agree. I find, especially whenever I'm spiraling in my thoughts or having a rough day or even experiencing a mild form of depression, when I get outside and just make myself be present, and even if it's observing wildlife or staring at a leaf blowing in the wind, if you stop and focus on just that and really be present and like look at the leaf and feel it and like watch it blowing in the wind and think about how that tree grew. I mean, your mind can just start going into all this stuff and it'll actually pull you out of whatever negative place you were in. So that's something I do that helps a lot. And we just have to be there for each other. Don't be afraid to ask for help right now. We're all on this planet to help each other. We're all on this planet to help each other, and we can't forget that. And I know a lot of people are too stubborn to ask for help, and this is a lesson I had to learn in life. You want to think that you can do it yourself, and sometimes you think the only way to get it done right is to do it yourself, but we can end up overwhelming ourselves. And I feel like that right now more than ever, we all need to be there for each other. We're all running our own race, so it's important to not compare yourself to the person that's running next to you. They're running a totally different race than you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone is in their own race, and they're learning their own lessons in life, and it's not our responsibility to interfere with their karma and their lessons. So whenever you see somebody maybe making a mistake or going down the wrong path and it's so obvious to you, that person might need to go down that path to learn a very important lesson for their life, but for their soul. I feel like we come here strictly for the soul's evolution. We incarnate into a physical body strictly for the soul's evolution. So whenever people are seemingly going down the wrong path, there's a lesson in that for them. And they're going to keep repeating that lesson until they learn it. But either way, that's their lesson to learn. And unless that person is absolutely willing to change and looking for help, it's not our job, it's not our responsibility to interfere with their karma. So, sending love and Reiki to the world. Yes, thank you so much. That's important right now. Just staying as heart-centered as possible. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I just kind of wanted to hop on here and see how this will go. Might start doing more of these. I didn't have a whole lot in mind to say today. I just wanted to go through a few things. But, yeah, I appreciate you guys all being here. And thank you so much. And I love you all. And when I say we, my co-host and I appreciate all the support. If you want to learn more, go to journeytotruth.online. And you can find our conferences, our books, our webinars, our brand new Secret Space Program documentary that just came out. It's all on our website if you're interested. And we have a trip coming up to Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii in April, conference in Hawaii, April 20th through the 24th. There's a few spots left if anyone's interested. You can find, if you just need a break from the chaos, we have an amazing event planned out there on the Big Island. So if you're interested in joining us in Hawaii, you can do so on our website, journeytotruth.online. And with that, I will go ahead and end this. Thank you all for being here.